to Monday Night Live 24. Hello all, Kaz is here and Tyson and David and Henny and Mark. Hello all, welcome to the special, that way, edition, talking about Harry Lassiter. It actually might be part one of part two, because, yeah, Jesus some gear when you look at Harry Lassiter. But anyway, we're going to cover all that. So tonight we're going to do a couple of giveaways. I've just got some Nature's Botanical Cream in, which you probably can't see. It's an awesome natural thing for keeping flies and bugs away from you. And so I'll give away one of those. And since we're talking about old school gold prospecting, I suppose you could call it. We'll give away a 16-inch gold pan, and yes, I think at the end of all this I've got a little how to find gold book here that I'll send out to someone as well. So 3 prizes tonight, and I have paper everywhere here about our friend Harry Lassiter. So without further ado, so what we've got on tonight is, I've got some dates here that Warren and myself will be at. I've got some questions from last week. And then we talk about Harry Lassiter tonight. So, I don't know whether everyone knows what I refer to as going down a rabbit hole. This Harry Lassiter stuff, like, I've looked at it before, but I probably haven't looked at it in this much detail before. And there is so much information and so much controversy around it from people that are just still to this day obsessed by Harry Lassiter and the story of the lost gold mine, to people who are just calling it a blatant fraud. So just a fantastic controversial subject. So right, let's get down to it. Before I go any further, I'm Ben from Gold Diggers, if you don't know. We do this every Monday night. We chat all about things detecting. And we have special guests and we cover subjects like this and what have you. So let's get rid of that. So from one extreme, I have to share this with you. This is what someone wrote on our Facebook page. And this is how much faith some people have in Harry Lassiter's story. So a person wrote, I found a unicorn once. And I have cleaned this up a fair bit, but I found a unicorn once and it excreted strawberry snow cones. That's about as believable as the Harry Lassiter story, as this one bloke sent to me, saying it's the biggest fabricated myth in Australia's gold history, and quite possibly. The other extreme are people wanting to get together with their mates and go on a huge adventure out to the middle of nowhere and see if they can find the long lost Lassiter Reef out there. So we got stacks and stacks of people on here. I see Nadia and Dave there, and Richard and Robert and David and Pete and Penn. Judy's here. Yes, I sent out a whole stack of books last week. I'm glad some people are receiving them. It was fairly late that I sent them out, so if you haven't got yours yet, it's on its way. So yes. Right. So where do we start with Harry Lassiter? Harry Lassiter, born in the 1880s, okay? So we probably will catch up with the story in the 1930s, I suppose, where Harry Lassiter walked into the Australian Workers' Union to a bloke called Bailey. And Bailey, and Lassiter wanted Bailey to put together a expedition to go and find this reef that he had supposedly found in 1897 at 17 years old. So they actually, g'day Keith and Kelly and Caroline, nice to see you. So they actually put together this expedition, and led by a guy called Blakeney, I believe. I get all confused with this because there's so many different stories with this. And let me just explain to you where they went. And this is in the 1930s, right? And this is how, let's get rid of me here a little. Let's just do this, right? So this is how they did it, right? We're not talking big expeditions. So the 1930 expedition was 6 men, 2 trucks, a plane that was going to meet them, and that was it, right? So there's the expedition. So a phenomenal effort in any time frame. When we talk about where this is happening, we'll just load this map up here. So there's the centre of Australia. Okay, we're talking about an area right up the top there where you're seeing, right in the centre of Australia, we're seeing those yellow waypoints that I've put in there. So we are talking central Australia, you know, 700 k's northwest of Kalgoorlie, I suppose, 500 k's sort of southwest of Alice. Sorry, Kalgoorlie would be northwest of Cal. So there's not much there. And we'll just, while we've got these maps going here, we'll just sort of narrow things in a little bit here. This is sort of the general search area that they talk about. The Bloods Ranges and the Ralstons Range, the Warburton Ranges, all in that area. So we've got here, I suppose you could say, I'm sitting in South Australia. That's the Northern Territory up there. And then, well, that way would be Western Australia. So we are talking in the middle of the desert here. So this is where these blokes are off to in these vehicles in the 1930s, which, what an amazing effort. So, all of this was based on a story that Harry Lassiter told everyone, and that was he in 1897 he found this reef out in the middle of nowhere and wanted to explore it and wanted to claim it. So Harry. So they got this team together. Away they go. As you can imagine, a stressful adventure where everybody didn't quite get along, and that's how the story starts to unfold and get together. So let me just go through a few things here. Judy's here and Keith's here. Kim, Nathan, hello guys. Bo's here, Baz, Brett. Thanks for sharing, guys. So tonight's prize is a gold pan, old school metal gold pan, and a how to find gold little mini book here, and some of the Nature's Botanical cream that keeps the flies away. So they're our prizes tonight. Couple of other things that are happening. NQ Explorers, we've got a big push on their YouTube channel to get them to 10,000 subscribers. So if you haven't subscribed to YouTube, the NQ Explorers YouTube channel, go there, and Warren's got some fantastic stuff going on there, some really good videos. The other thing we might just mention too is I noticed Kaz was here from the Gold Coast Metal Detecting Club. They're having a bit get together on the 27th of May on the Gold Coast somewhere. It's a bit secret squirrel stuff, so you have to join the Gold Coast Metal Detecting Club on Facebook. And there's a bit of a get together, and I haven't even told Kaz this yet, but I believe Warren from NQ Explorers will be there as well, and I will be there. And then of course on the 3rd of June, which is the Sunday afterwards, we'll be having a Garrett Detector Day, a Detector Day out at Warwick. All brands welcome, but it's sponsored by Garrett. So if you want to come out to Warwick, feel free. Warren and I will be out there. We'll be doing some panning demonstrations, and we can answer all your questions on metal detectors and what to look for in the goldfields. So, so that's there's a couple of dates. If you want to come down to the beach on the 27th of May, you need to join the Gold Coast Metal Detecting Club, and that's a Sunday, the 27th of May, and then Sunday, the 3rd of June, we'll be in Warwick doing a bit of gold prospecting. So feel free to come and join us there. So, back to, yes, of course, it's a bit far for some of you to go. I completely get that. Don't think you have to come from Perth or Kalgoorlie or Victoria to come and, you know, have a day detecting. We do travel around a little bit, although we haven't much this year, but we will be doing a lot of travelling around. Going forward, so they're the two things that I've got coming up, and I'll actually be on the 26th, which is this Saturday. I'm actually taking my young bloke to there's a gem show at the Mount Gravatt Showgrounds. So Finn and I will be wandering around there. Yes, so yeah, I'll be wandering around there with my young bloke, having a look around the gem show there at Mount Gravatt. So, right, back to Harry Lassiter. So, 6 men, 2 trucks, and a plane, which actually, they crashed the plane. Yeah, they crashed the plane early on, and they had to wait for a second plane to come back. So, Harry Lassiter, someone mentioned it earlier, that Harry Lassiter had laid out from previous adventures, from his 1897 discovery, that there was 3 hills that looked like 3 women in sunbonnets, and then somewhere here I've got it written down, there was another hill to the south, I believe that, anyway, I haven't got it written down here, but it was a flat top hill. And they were the markers to lead into this gold reef. So they came into that same area from the southeast, I believe, and previously had come in from the west. So all the landmarks looked different. They ended up. And this country, when you actually have a look at it, if you even look at it on Google Earth, for instance, this country is proper, like proper desert and rock and hard country sort of thing. There's the border between Northern Territory and Western Australia, and it is proper hard country. So in the 30s, no roads, lots of scrub, lots of flat tyres, lots of nothingness, and lots of frayed tempers. So what happened is they ended up, because they were coming in from a different direction, they ended up in the wrong spot. Well, not the wrong spot, but they ended up miles away, 150 miles away from where they should have been. And they had to make some corrections. So Blakeney, the leader, wasn't too keen on this, and from a lot I can gather, Blakeney thought Lassiter was a joke. And later on, Blakeney described Harry Lassiter as a liar and a fraud. So anyway, to keep Lassiter happy, when they were miles and miles out of where they were supposed to be, Blakeney made the move 150 miles southwest of where they landed up. So that took a number of days, and they ended up reaching a spot where they couldn't go any further with the trucks. So that's when Blakeney called it quits, and him and Harry Lassiter had a big bust up. There was a prospector in the area called, where have I got? Oh, no. There was a prospector in the area called Johns who had some camels. So Harry Lassiter Blakeney summoned this Johns to, because Harry Lassiter wanted to continue on with the camels, right? So the story goes that Johns and Lassiter went to went to Lake Christopher, right? In that Lake Christopher area. So, but Lassiter didn't trust this Johns character with the camels, so he left Johns with the camels and went and apparently rediscovered the gold reef. So Lassiter then came out and he came out with samples. Lassiter came back to the camp with samples. So, and they later assayed the samples at 3 ounces a tonne. So that's a pretty good assay result, sort of thing. So it's a bit, there is just so many stories with this, because all of this is sort of lost in history a little bit, and yes, it can be a lot going on. So Lassiter then, Johns and Lassiter then have a falling out because, and Johns actually tries to shoot Lassiter, and after the altercation, Johns clears out too. So Harry Lassiter's there by himself with a few camels, right? And this is where you can start to, there's a book called Lassiter's Last Rides. I haven't got it here, I don't think. No, I haven't. But it shows a picture of Harry Lassiter running after his camels, because so get this, he stops to go to the toilet, to go and have a leak. So while he's doing his business, the camels take off on him. They've got all his food, all his supplies. Harry is basically on his own in the middle of nowhere, no food, very, very little water. He manages to get to, where are we? He manages to get to what's called now the Lassiter's Cave, where the Aborigines start to look after him. And that's where he later died, and they found his gear. So, that's Lassiter. That's the general story that gets around, okay? So what we're going to go into in a minute is some of this other information that's kicking about. So, okay, so what we might do is, I'll just go through here and we'll see some questions. Chris is here. Ian, good to see you here, mate, at long last. Muffy, we could look at a history on the Victorian goldfields, Eastern Victoria. Yep, we could go and have a look at that. Treasure Hunters New South Wales watching. I suppose that's a Facebook page. Hello guys, nice to see you. Now, I've got some questions here I need to cover too from last week. There's some very, very good questions here. One from Benny, a long-time listener. When you go gold detecting, this was from last week's show, when you go gold detecting, do you wander around aimlessly hoping to tag a bit, or is it best to rake a potential area and detect it thoroughly? So I'd be interested to see what other people do with that. I'd probably do a little bit of both, Ben. I mostly get out of the car and I try and confine myself to a small area. I don't tend to do big, long, walking, straight walks. I tend to try and confine myself to an area, do it relatively thoroughly. If I'm having no luck, I will, I'll then move to another area rather than, and I'm conscious about selecting which area I'm going to. I don't necessarily grid and rake an area just because it's there. I tend to do an area fairly thoroughly though, without going to that extreme. So I'm probably halfway is what I'm saying. That's all, that's one of the questions. The other one here is I've got a question from Stephen. Stephen asked, why is there different pan sizes? What's the difference in using them? I should have bought pans here for demonstration purposes, but so for instance, the Garrett pans, the big pan has got a coarser riffles on it, and what that means is you actually can process a lot more material a lot quicker with a pan with a big riffle in it than what you can with a pan with little tiny riffles in it. So it's more processing power than anything else, the bigger pans. And with a big pan, you can't really get that really fine finesse to work the last little bit of concentrate down. So that's why you go to a smaller pan so you can really just gently wash the black stand out, and that will, so that's why there's different size pans. And then of course there is there's smaller people want to go panning. So a smaller pan's much easier to work than what some of these big giant 16-inch pans are. Like you put a shovel load of gravel in that's quite heavy. So it's a size thing as well. So that's about the size of pans. And then we've got another question about colour of pans. Normally that blue, the blue pans or the green pans tend to be the better ones. There's a lot of black pans around. I don't think colour makes a huge difference. Green's very good, blue's very good because it stands out. It stands out against that blue and green pretty well. So that would be my preference, I suppose. But I think the only colour you don't want for a pan is yellow, probably. So yes. Also, guys, I understand there's huge internet issues across the country today. We're probably, we're probably down a lot on our viewers tonight, but that's all fine. But the show will be available to watch straight afterwards, so you can watch it back on delay. So feel free to do that. A couple of questions there about turbo pans on the chat. Some people love them, some people hate them. I'm somewhere in the middle. I'm used to using a standard pan, so I find the concept very unnatural. So I tend not to use them, but that's just a personal preference. I don't think there's anything wrong with them, as long as you got your technique right. You got your technique wrong, you're losing gold. Just exactly the same as any other pan. If you got your technique wrong, yes. So, and Russell makes a fantastic point with our viewers being slightly down tonight because of the internet issues. More chances for everyone here to win our 3 prizes tonight. Big 16-inch gold pan, How to Find Gold book, and our Nature's Botanical cream. Great for keeping the flies and bugs off. It's natural rosemary and cedarwood oil. Smells really, really nice. So I love that stuff. So right. So Harry Lassiter. Like you could seriously. Harry Lassiter's son, Bob Lassiter, has basically dedicated his entire life to his father's, proving that his father wasn't a fraud and a liar, as Blakeney put it. He spent his whole life, he's obsessed with it. There's other people that are phenomenally obsessed with it, and I can understand why. Harry Lassiter wanted to keep the spot that he'd found so secret, right, that he didn't leave. It wasn't clear what the clues were. He wrote a lot of clues to his wife, and he told her where the pegs were and all that sort of thing, but it really didn't make sense to anyone else. So let's talk about a couple of things, proven or not proven. A lot of people have said, did he actually die? You know, everyone talks about that he died in the bush in 1931, 30th of January, I believe. So then there's a report in 1931 of him being seen on a ship bound for the US. And so from 2 ladies that knew him in Sydney. So did Harry Lassiter die out in the outback? Or did he end up in the States? Was it just a fraud, a complete fraud, and did he end up in the States? The other story, the other thing that he is talked about here, let's just change that over. There's another rumour that his coordinates were reversed. So straight above my head is 4 coordinates on the Queensland border with the Northern Territory. That some people say that's where it is. That he's actually in it's actually in the Queensland border. So just directly above my head there, instead of being over in the on the Western Australian Northern Territory border. So, I mean, when you start adding that, complexity to it, there's a lot of ground in that area all the way across to the Western Australia border. So, right, so what else have we got here? So let's have a closer look at some of these maps here. I'll just put this other map here up. Where is it here? Lake Christopher. So, sorry guys, I'm just putting me up here. So above my head there is the Bloods Ranges. This is the area just here is where Lassiter came in, and a little bit further north of there. That's where he came in for the west. Lassiter was camped at Lake Christopher, which is right over the far side that way, there. Now, he was camped at Lake Christopher waiting for a bloke by the name of Johansen. So, this is the other theory. The other theory is it's actually, all along, it was Johansen's reef. Johansen had discovered it, and he'd told Lassiter about it, and the two had worked out a deal to try and get a mining lease or someone to buy it off them. So, so this is another complexity. And while Lassiter was camped at Lake Christopher, Johansen never showed up. Johansen's never really, I believe, heard of again. So there's that complexity to the whole thing as well. And next week we might, if we probably won't get it covered tonight, we're already halfway through, but this is a fantastic, a lot of people have mentioned this already, but this Lassiter's Bones DVD, it's been on Netflix. I think you can get it on Netflix. I've got a copy of it. This talks about a lot about Bob Lassiter, Harry's son, and his trips into the bush, and just a fascinating DVD. It talks about, they narrow it down to that it's quite near Lake Christopher. It's between Lake Christopher and the border. So Lake Christopher is just here, and the border's behind me here. But it's in a sacred Aboriginal spot, very close to a sacred Aboriginal spot, and that the Aborigines protect that area, and it's not available to the public. You can't just go in there. They've been known, those Aborigines have been known over the period of time to have a lot of money when they need it. So it sort of stands to reason that that's possible. So the whole area is gold bearing. There's been some modern assays done and some modern drilling done on the area. The Ralston Ranges, which is just over my shoulder here, these Ralston Ranges through here, there's been some drilling done on them, and there's a couple of very, very hot spots in there of like 13 grams per tonne. Nothing like the 3 ounces per tonne, like that's 90 grams per tonne. So that's very, very, very rich. So, but through that area, through that whole area there, that way, there's been some, there's certainly been some gold found there. So I am probably of the belief that there is a very, very rich patch of gold out there. What was it? Was it 7? I've got paper over here. 7 miles long, with 3 women, with 3 hills that look like women in sunbonnets around it. I believe that that's quite possibly truth. That there is a a very rich reef there. What I don't know is whether it's Lassiter found that reef or was told about that reef by this Johansen bloke. So that's the bit I wonder, whether there was a Johansen told Lassiter about this, and you know, Lassiter claimed it as his own, and then all of a sudden, let's go out looking for it. So now, a lot of questions here about, and I've had them through the week. I've had them myself. Why can't big mining companies find it? So there is, if it's only 7 miles long, about 10 kilometres long, and they talk about that it could be covered with a fair bit of sand. It's desert country out there. As you can see, it's not green and lush out there. So it could be covered with a fair bit of sand. Now that doesn't stop some of these geologists necessarily looking for it, but there is very few really big mining operations that have done huge amounts of exploration out there. There's just not a whole stack of, we're talking the middle of the desert here, there's not a whole stack of ground covered 100%. So if you're looking for a long, a 10 kilometre long, fairly narrow reef, it could quite possibly be that it's been stepped over, no one's walked on it for a lot of years that knew what they were doing. Mining companies just haven't drilled on it. So it's not as, there's a lot of country like, you know, you talk about these big mining areas like the Palmer, the, you know, Claremont, Victoria, you know, Kalgoorlie. A lot of that area has been explored and big mining companies have looked at it and rah, rah, rah. Not so much in this when we're talking in the middle of nowhere. So, in saying all that, it could be just made up. There could be nothing there. There's no proof that it's there, you know. If you do ever get a chance to buy this or see this Lassiter's Bones DVD, it's phenomenal. And the most enjoyable bits is for me, certainly the whole thing was enjoyable, but they've got some extras, special features, deleted scenes and interviews, right? In there are all the conspiracy theories about the whole thing. So it's fascinating, all the interviews with all the conspiracies about what's happened with it. So I highly recommend that. And if you can buy it because I haven't seen. I had to get this one online, but and no, you can't have my copy. But the extra features aren't probably on Netflix. So, but the extra features are phenomenal. So, yes. Right. So, I'm Ben from Gold Diggers. We do this every Monday night. We pick a subject, we answer questions, we have special guests on, and every week we try and give away some prizes. So this week we're giving away a big 16-inch gold pan. We've got some Nature's Own insect repellent, really natural and very good for you, and How to Find Gold mini book. It's not a huge book, it's just a little book. Hence the name mini book. So they will go out to people who have shared the live stream in about 20 minutes time. So you've got 20 minutes to share the live stream, and we go from there. So, okay, so David makes a very, very good point. Western Australia is a big place, and there is a lot of ground mixed in there. There's a lot of ground mixed in with all that dirt, and Harry Lassiter sort of, and certainly his son Bob, who is just, you got no idea how obsessed he is about it. So, just a reminder, I mentioned it earlier, but I see a lot of people have joined us after the live stream started. So, 27th of May if you're on the Gold Coast, or southeast Queensland, you want to come down and have a day on the beach, look for the Gold Coast Metal Detecting Club on Facebook. Kaz is the guru on there. So she's having an outing on Sunday the 27th of May. I'm going down, Warren's going down, so it'll be a good little day. And then 3rd of June we're doing a Warwick gold prospecting day. So if you'd like to come out to Warwick, which is about 200 k's west of Brisbane, if you'd like to come out and have a bit of a day out there, feel free. It's sponsored by Garrett, but all machines are welcome, so come on out and have a chat, and we'll give you some pointers, and you know, we can help with whatever we possibly can. So yes, so feel free to do that. So what else have we got to cover here? Okay, so these are questions from last week. Leonard asked a question about sluicing for gold anywhere in Queensland. With owner's permission, I believe you can sluice anywhere in Queensland as long as you've got permission. Fossicking areas are a definite. You can definitely do it in the fossicking areas, and there's getting more and more of them across the country. So that's Queensland wide. You can sluice. As far as Darren asked here about multi-sluice, I don't quite know what a multi-sluice is. Asked whether it comes under the same class as high banker. If you're running a pump, it does come under the same class as a high banker, Darren. So if it doesn't, if you're talking about the push sluice from Goldrat, it doesn't have a motor, so it's allowed for fossicking. So yes. There is, so this is a bit of a, and I don't understand this. Daniel asked a question. I know it exists, but I don't understand it. So he asked a question about, can you explain the halo effect when we're detecting gold? So the halo effect happens with any metal, and I believe it's the metal's effect on the ground that's in close proximity touching it. What it does is it almost energizes the soil, and it actually amplifies your signal with your metal detector. So you will actually find, that's why you find things deeper in the ground, particularly wet ground, than what you do just air testing something. So I don't know why it occurs. I think it'd be some sort of molecular, you know, maybe like a corrosion sort of effect. But a halo effect, when something's been in the ground a long time, you will have that halo effect around it. So I will look into that a little bit more for Daniel, because I should know what that, how the science works on that. So so Chris talked about a beach scoop for the beach, a sand scoop for the beach. So there's two little options. If you want a handheld one, I use a plastic one, a little plastic one. Garrett makes one, Whites make one, Minelab make one. Everyone makes one. Some people even use a plastic shovel from like a feed supply store, and they drill a whole stack of holes in it. But I use a long-handled metal sand scoop. We're looking to get them in the shop very, very soon. Yes, I like that because I don't have to bend over, and it's very makes life very, very easy. So guys, we've got about 15 minutes until we draw the prize on the our prizes tonight. 16-inch gold pan, a little jar of Nature's Botanical insect repellent, and a little mini gold book. So 15 minutes just to share those things. Right, so let me see if we can pick up some questions. Gary asked a question here about the Fours gold detector. Don't know much about it, I'm afraid, Gary. I've never used one, so I don't like to comment too much. Baz, yes, a pinpointer, which is I haven't got one within reach, but a pinpointer is a little metal detector. It's about the size of a carrot, they do speed up finding your small targets, particularly for gold. So, Henny, I believe someone already has tried to use divining rods to find Lassiter's Reef. I'd be surprised if they don't. Yeah, so Lynn asked that question about the pinpointers originally. Sorry about that, Lynn. But yes, pinpointers are definitely not a waste of money. So, yes. Lassiter's Bones isn't, Matt just said Lassiter's Bones isn't on Netflix. So you may just have to do what I did and buy it on eBay or wherever. So, yes, I get a lot of questions asking, do I know where the reef is? Just lots of people asking me where's the reef. So I've just got a map here, let me pull it up. And this will look a bit junky because I'm not prepared for this. So I'm just make this map a stack bigger. So I actually believe that in this research, I actually believe it's somewhere on that map there. So Ralston Range, that's where a lot of those gold drilling, the good, the 13 grams per tonne. It's not 90 that Harry Lassiter essayed it at. And there's Lake Christopher. So I believe it's to the east of Lake Christopher. So I think it's somewhere in this Ralston Range or just near this Ralston Range here somewhere. Now, I believe it's on in a Aboriginal ceremonial or a sacred place, and I believe that they know where it is, but they won't let anyone on. And if you've ever seen Lassiter's Bones, the DVD, that sort of is actually the conclusion that, well, they don't say, but they tend to lead you towards sort of thing. So. So that's where I suspect it is. It's probably on that map there as we speak. You're probably looking at it. Yes. I've also had a guy come to me just recently looking at a magnetic rake. I don't know whether anyone would be interested in a magnetic rake. I think the idea would be that it'd pull all the ironstone out of the country, make detecting easier, but he was looking to get them made. I don't know whether anyone's interested in it, but yes. So pinpointers again. I like to stick to the brand name stuff. I would go like Minelab, go at the 35, the Garrett Orange Carrot. They've got a new one coming out that syncs with their headphones, which is the Wi-Fi ones. I would try the XP, make a great one. Technetics make the Tech Point, which is a pulse induction machine as well. It's a very good, it's a very good machine. So if you go out there, pardon me, if you get out there and spend sort of $180 and above, you're going to get something really, really good. I know it's a lot of coin, but for that sort of money, you're getting waterproof, and it is really a you'll get a really good quality pinpointer that'll last you a long time. So that would be my suggestion, is to do that. You know, you can buy those ones on eBay, and let me tell you, they're cheap. You know, we used to sell a pinpointer here that we used to sell for 99 bucks. I've stopped selling it now because half of them came back because people weren't happy with them. And that was a brand name one. So, you know, I think you've got to spend a little bit of money to get a decent one. So, right, magnetic rake. Yes, we're probably good for finding meteorites. You're right there, Ian. So, yes. Yes, Joshua makes a good point there that his pinpointer will affect some of the really sensitive machines like the 5000. I haven't seen one that is like the ATX. I don't believe is affected by too much. I don't know. You could try. Try the like. You could try a couple of different pointers because there's VLF. There's VLF pinpointers and there's pulse induction pinpointers like the MI4, MI6. Yeah. So yeah, you could try different pinpointers with it. I know it's painful. Most of the 5000 guys and 7000 guys don't use a pinpointer. Yes. Dean, I believe there is a club on the Sunshine Coast. They're looking for a metal detecting club. I believe there is one. I'm not sure of any details about it. Probably look at Facebook to start with and ask around there. So. Yes, Bob says we're using a magnetic garage sweeper for picking up parts and clearing scrap from rubbish sites. Well, yeah, could do. So, yes. So, okay, so I am at the Gold Coast. So, talk to Kaz at the Gold Coast Metal Detecting Club for the 27th of May, Sunday. That's this coming Sunday. And then the 3rd of June is the big Warwick Garrett Detecting Day. It will be stacks of fun. The last time we went out there, it was a lot of fun. So yes, so that will be fun. We might do a couple of deals if people, if you want something for the Warwick trip, if you're coming out to Warwick and you want me to bring something. Or if you want, if you're coming down to the Gold Coast and want me to bring something, just send me a message, preferably on Facebook, or give me a call, or even give me a text message on the mobile number. I can do you a deal as a special Monday Night Live effort. So. Yes, we're going to have, a lot of people have been asking what are we doing out at Warwick. We're going to have a big treasure hunt. I have some coins put aside. Last time we were out there, we had some Russian coins, and we did like a token hunt out there with the Russian coins. So this time round, we've got a different type of coin this time, so that we know about cheating of those Russian coins. Yes, I've got all the coins organised. It's all ready to go. So we'll be having a token front for some prizes. There's a stack of stuff out there too. If you bring the kids along, I'll have some giveaways for the kids. And yes. Right. Malcolm, any ideas why my GPX 4500 has lost its sound? No. No, I don't know anything about that. So, yes. They're talking about there's might be might be a detecting club in Nambour on the Sunshine Coast. So, yes. The day out at Warwick will be held at the Fossicking area, which is about 30 k's west of Warwick. It's as long as it hasn't been a giant flood in Warwick, it's very easy access, two-wheel drive. It's only about 800 metres a kilometre into where we meet up, sort of thing. There's some fantastic history out there. There's the old puddler that will tell people, will show you how it worked, and old mate Dan Bray's out there with the Dan Bray's graves out there, and there's a little creek there we can do some panning in if there's some water there, and and the detecting's pretty good. Apparently there was some gold just found not far from where we go, so there's still gold coming out of there. So right, Greg asked about the MI4 pinpointer. I believe it's quality. I haven't had a play with one yet. Yes. So that's where it'll be held in Warwick. Is there such thing as a false positive with a Garrett pinpointer? Yes, it'll be hearing your ground. Most of the pinpointers have got a retune button on it. So if you hit the retune button, it will take out that ground noise, and then you need to get closer and closer to the target. So, yes. Yes, the flags will be set up out at Warwick, so you'll follow your way in through the Eureka flags, and yes, we'll go from there. So, let's have a look here. Let's just refresh. We've only got 3 minutes left before we run the randomizer and pick out. We need 3 prizes tonight. We might go big to small. We might go pan kit first, mini book second, and the Nature's Botanical third. So we might, that's how we'll work it tonight. So, oh no, I noticed the dark side detecting's here. I've got to get back to Guy about that too. I was talking to Guy through the week, and I've been neglectful and haven't rung him back. So, yeah, Chris, the Fossicking area is the Jurakai Fossicking area. It's probably the easiest easiest area that we know. Well, I know anyway, so I know it at the back of my hand. I know it's easy to get into. I know there's not a stack of, you know, I know it's, you know, it's pretty easy for two-wheel drive to get in there. Yeah, so that, so the dates are the 3rd of June. I'll be posting something up, actually tomorrow or Wednesday about that. And don't forget the Gold Coast on the 20, next Sunday. So, so yes. Right, so what time have we got? It's 2 minutes to, so 2 minutes left to share to win the prizes. Oh, these things too. I don't know whether anyone's used these, but I've been using these a lot lately as nugget scoops. 2 nugget scoops, I get a target, one to the other, particularly for those guys, particularly for those guys that are using SDCs or machines to find small gold. These things are phenomenal. They're $10 for a pair, and they are the greatest thing since sliced bread. I found that amazing to use those. So, yes. Okay, so what time have we got? Oh, just a minute left. Okay, so let me see here. Well, it's just about to go 8:30. Michael, thanks for that. Michael mentioned it might be a bit dry out there at Warwick and he brings some water. Yeah, water would be handy. I've probably got 60 litres that I'll take out, and I think Warren could do some. I think Warren was going to bring some out as well, so you know we're probably okay. But you can never never be too. You never have too much water out in those places. So, yeah. So my shop is in Browns Plains in Brisbane. So we're on the south side of Brisbane. So yes, a couple of people just asking there. It's 149 Browns Plains Road. So yes, I can sort anyone out with pinpointers if you mention pinpointers. Right. So let's run this randomizer. I need 3 prizes. 3 prizes tonight. First prize goes to Robert in Rubyvale. So that's a Queensland. Congratulations, Robert. You've won the gold pan kit. You might even get some gemstones in that, mate. Right, second one is the How to Find Gold mini book, because it's tiny. That's why it's called a mini book. Goes to Clyde. Where's Clyde from? He's from Lower Templestone. So Clyde, you've got a mini book, and then for the Nature's Botanical cream, that's the next one. So it goes to Chris. I don't know where Chris is from. Chris, where are you from, Chris? I don't know where Chris is from, but anyway, Chris, you won the natural insect repellent. Clyde won the book, and Robert won the pan. So all good. Right. So next week, amazing week. We might just have a little bit of a tie up of Lassiter's bones and see if we've. I haven't done a whole stack of research about what's happened lately with Lassiter's. So we might even see if we can look at some expeditions that have happened in recent history. So we'll do a little bit of that. And then, of course, Warren from NQ Explorers will be on to update his on his travels. He's been out and about and all over the country. So we'll have Warren on board, and yes. So I'll put a reminder up in the next day or so about next week's show. So I will send, and the winners of the prizes, I will send out a message straight after the show. I noticed there's some, every Chris on the planet is saying, it's me, is it? So, but no, I will send a message out. I don't know where Chris is from, but anyway, no problems. So thanks very much for joining me. It's been a really good show. I'll do a little bit more work on Lassiter's for next week, and we'll talk about the recent history. And we'll see you all next